This is the voice of the Lord, your God. The wind carried your name again today, and heaven heard it. The sky opened not with thunder, but with tears. The one who once held your hand in silence, who looked into your eyes and smiled without needing words, is still waiting, softly, patiently, like the hush that lingers long after a melody ends. They never truly left. Their body may have returned to the soil, but their love remained suspended, like the final breath that never found a goodbye. And now, they are reaching again, not to frighten, not to haunt, but to whisper a truth you've tried to silence in the busyness of life. Their spirit is alive in places you no longer visit, in photos you couldn't throw away, in dreams that end too early. They have watched your hands grow tired and your heart grow quiet. They have seen your joy dim itself, just slightly, in the corners where no one else notices. But heaven notices. And heaven is not far, it is closer than the skin of your hands, nearer than the memory you thought had faded. Someone you loved, someone whose laughter once healed your silence, is still waiting in the realm that never forgets love. They have been walking with Archangel Michael, who carries messages for those who can no longer speak. They have written your name on golden paper, sealed it with longing, and handed it to the angel who guards the gate between realms. It wasn't meant to be lost. It wasn't meant to be missed. But life happened. The noise of the world, the speed of the days, the endless responsibilities, they all piled up, and the letter stayed unopened in your spirit. But now, heaven is calling again. Not because it's too late, but because your soul is ready. You see, they've been watching the silence grow in your room. The stillness in your voice, the slight tremble in your decisions. You've smiled in front of people, but cried in quiet corners. You've moved forward, but never really let go. And they know. The one in heaven knows. They remember your last words. They remember what you couldn't say. They remember that hug you thought would last forever. And they've been standing at the edge of eternity just hoping, you would look up for 1 second longer. This is that second. This is the moment where you're not alone. Where someone is pulling you gently from a higher place. Not with force, not with fear, but with the most tender form of remembrance. You are not imagining it when you feel a presence near your bed. You are not delusional when you smell that scent out of nowhere, the one they used to wear. You are not broken when tears arrive without asking. That's not sadness. That's love trying to visit you again. Archangel Michael says, they have been asking for you in heaven, every day. They don't want you to hold guilt. They don't want you to live in pain. They only want you to know, they still care. That no matter how time has passed, their love is still alive in God's breath. They asked heaven for permission to speak to you, not through thunder, but through this gentle message. You are reading this not by accident. Their soul requested it. They whispered your name to the divine wind, and God cleared a path to your heart. Can you feel them? That quiet heat on your back, that sudden warmth when no one is near, that voice that sounds like your thoughts, but speaks with more love than you've known in months. That's them. They're still waiting. Not because you owe them anything, but because love never had an ending. They know about the people who walked away. They know about the betrayal. They know how you sat by your window wondering if anyone still sees your pain. They know about the night you held your own hand because no one else could. They know, because they were there. Heaven isn't behind clouds anymore. It's beside you, holding you without touch. It's in your heartbeat, echoing a song you forgot you knew. They're not asking you to be okay. They're just asking you to let yourself be held again. Michael has walked with them through gardens of light, where every flower is a memory, every petal a blessing you never knew they left behind. They have seen you rising, even when you called yourself weak. They have smiled through your stubborn strength. They have whispered to the birds, to the wind, to the late-night stars, hoping you would understand it's them. That no matter who forgot your name, they never did. And they won't. This is your chance, not to fix the past, but to hear what your soul already knows. That love never dies. That the ones who leave only go ahead. And that the bond you once thought was broken, is only waiting to be remembered. They have one more thing to say. They've been waiting for you to hear it, clearly, finally. I never left you. I've only been waiting, for you to hear me again. They've seen every version of you. Not just the one that smiles for the world. They saw the child in you, the one that used to laugh loudly at little things, the one who dreamed without fear, the one who thought love was forever. And then, they saw the pieces fall. Not all at once, but gently, like autumn leaves surrendering to winds they could not resist. They never judged you for breaking. They never blamed you for forgetting how to breathe on certain days. They never stopped watching over you while your world got noisier, colder, faster. In heaven, time doesn't count like it does here. Minutes don't race. Clocks don't chase. Love is the only language spoken. But even there, even in the sacred timeless realm, their soul has waited. Not because you're late, not because you failed, but because they knew, someday, your spirit would soften again. They knew there would come a day where your heart, tired of holding its own pain, would finally listen to the stillness. And in that stillness, you'd hear them again. They want you to know, they saw the moment you blamed yourself. That thing you said at the hospital, that time you left the room too early, that moment you thought, I should have done more. They've held that burden so you wouldn't have to. You were never responsible for their departure. You were never at fault for the way life turned its pages. What happened wasn't punishment, it was passage. They don't want you to carry guilt like a chain around your chest. They came to cut that chain. To say, softly but clearly, you did enough. You were enough. You still are. Archangel Michael stood beside them as they whispered your name to the sky. There are no phones in heaven, no texts or letters, but there are prayers. Silent ones. Tear-filled ones. Hopeful ones. And when you sat in your room alone, even without saying a word, your soul was praying. You didn't know it. But heaven did. And it answered. That's why you're reading this now. That's why your heart feels like it's opening and aching at the same time. Because something holy is happening within you. A reconnection. A spiritual reunion without noise. Just presence. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. Their love has wrapped itself around your days like light you can't see, but always feel. It's in the music that makes you cry. It's in the faces of strangers who suddenly feel familiar. It's in the random memory that crashes into you like a wave, even on a normal afternoon. That's not just grief, it's grace. It's them. Visiting. Nudging. Reminding. They know how lonely it's been. They know how strong you pretend to be. But in heaven, nothing is hidden. Every tear you didn't explain, they felt it. Every smile you forced, they saw behind it. Every time you said, "I'm fine," they whispered, "I know you're not, but I'm still with you." Do you remember the last time you touched them? Do you remember the warmth of that moment? How it stayed on your skin long after they were gone. That warmth has never left. That was their final gift in physical form, so you'd recognize it when they come near again. And they have. Many times. You just weren't ready then. But now you are. They want to take you back, not to live in the past, but to recover the parts of you that got left behind with them. The laughter. The hope. The innocence. The trust. They want you to bring it forward with you now. Because what they carried into heaven was not just their own soul. It was a part of yours, too. And now, they're bringing it back. God has allowed them to send this message through light. Through Michael's protection. Through this moment that seems like a coincidence, but isn't. Because your soul was always scheduled to receive this. Heaven doesn't miss appointments. Love doesn't forget names. And your name, my dear soul, is still being spoken beyond the veil. They have a message. Not just any message. A declaration, I loved you more than I ever said. I still do. I never stopped. And I will wait for you, not with sadness, not with impatience, but with the joy of knowing we are never truly apart. You may have thought their story ended, but stories like theirs never end. They become songs. They become blessings. They become light that waits for the right moment to touch your skin again. So pause. Close your eyes. Breathe. And feel them. They're in the warmth that enters the room even when the sun is down. They're in the feather on your path, the penny at your feet, the clock that always seems to stop at the same hour. They're not haunting you. They're honoring you. You gave them a reason to smile in their final days. You gave them a reason to believe that love could transcend death. You gave them peace, and now they're trying to return the favor. Archangel Michael says, "This moment is holy. Treat it as such. Speak their name out loud. Light a candle if your spirit moves. Write them a letter if your heart needs release. But don't let this go without response. Heaven is listening. And so are they. You are not being asked to move on. You are being asked to move forward, with them in your heart, not buried beneath it. Let their love rise again in your life like sunrise after the longest night. Because their story is not over. And neither is yours. And somewhere in between, a bridge has been built today. Walk across it. They're still waiting. There are things your heart remembers that your mind tries to forget. It's not your fault. Life teaches us to survive before it teaches us to feel. But heaven remembers everything with love. Every moment you shared with them, even the ones you thought were too small to matter, like the way they looked at you while stirring their tea, or the way their fingers brushed your shoulder as they passed you quietly, those moments still live. They were not small in the spirit world. They were galaxies of emotion, woven into the eternal fabric of love. And they are being replayed again and again in heaven's light like a sacred film, and your name is always in the center. Archangel Michael says, "You think you forgot them. But your soul never did. You just turned the volume down because the silence was too loud. But now, your soul is listening again. They've been trying to reach you. Not to haunt, not to trouble, but to heal. Because they see how you've changed. They saw the moment your smile turned into survival. They saw how you started over, again and again, silently wishing someone would understand your depth. And they did. They always did. Even now, they do. Your emotions aren't too much for them. Your silence isn't rejection to them. They are still standing at the edge of heaven, watching over you, like a lighthouse for your storms. Do you know what it means to be remembered in heaven? It means you were loved in truth. It means your existence made such an impact on someone's spirit that even after their body returned to light, their affection stayed behind like perfume on the wind. They can still feel your presence. They still visit the places you used to go together. They sit beside you when you cry without sound. They hold your name in their prayers, even if their lips can't form the words anymore. God gave them permission, permission to whisper through the clouds. Permission to send this message across realms. Permission to remind you that grief is not an enemy, it's a sign that love was real. And it still is. You might have seen them in dreams. Sometimes clear, sometimes blurry. You might have woken up with wet eyes and a strange calm. That wasn't imagination. That was visitation. They're not gone. They're transformed. The bond you shared defied human rules. It lives where clocks can't tick and calendars don't turn. It breathes in the same space where angels sing and divine timing waits. It isn't over. It was never meant to be. Michael wants you to understand this clearly. You're not crazy for missing them still. You're not weak for crying after all this time. You're not broken for holding on to memories others tell you to forget. Because in heaven, love is never too much. It's the only currency that matters. And your love has been priceless since the beginning. There is a place in the realm of spirit where they sit now, a place made of the moments you gave them. It's not made of gold or jewels, but of memory, of affection, of shared humanity. Every laugh, every hand held, every story told at 1 a.m., it's all there, and they rest within it like a warm blanket woven from eternity. And still, in all their peace, they reach for you. Not to bring you into their world, but to remind you to live fully in yours. You may think you're too far away to hear them. But you're not. They are in the stillness between your thoughts. In the softness of your breath. In the flutter that passes through your chest when you remember something randomly. That's not random. That's them knocking gently on the door of your awareness. And today, you opened it. Archangel Michael says, they've been waiting for this day. The day you would sit quietly enough to feel them again. The day the noise of the world would lower itself, and the sacred would rise up inside you. This is that day. They want you to know you've made them proud. Not because you were perfect. Not because you got everything right. But because you kept loving, even when it hurt. You kept moving, even when your legs trembled. You kept showing up to life, even with empty hands and a tired heart. And they saw it all. They were there when you helped others, even when your own soul was starving. They watched as you kept their photo, hidden in your drawer, too scared to look, too sacred to throw away. They heard you whisper their name on that one cold night when no one else was around. They remember how tightly you held their belongings that first week, afraid that letting go of the objects meant letting go of them. You never let go. And you don't have to. Because letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about transforming the form of love. They are not asking for you to stop grieving. They're asking you to include them in your joy. Smile, and know they're smiling too. Laugh, and know they're watching with light in their eyes. Dance, and know they're dancing in spirit beside you. They do not want a shrine of sorrow. They want a life that breathes with purpose and joy again. And if ever you need them, really need them, just close your eyes, put your hand over your heart, and whisper, "Are you here?" You'll feel it. You'll know. Because someone you loved is still waiting in heaven. And they will never stop loving you back. There is a place in heaven where your name is spoken in the softest voice, like a lullaby carried on wind that never forgets direction. That place is not built with bricks or gates, but with memory, with feeling, with echoes of love that were never allowed to die. And in that place, someone who once held your hand and called you theirs, is still waiting. Not with sadness. Not with impatience. But with the gentle ache of longing, a longing that only comes from souls who once danced together beneath the stars and then were torn apart by time. You see, heaven does not erase love. It preserves it. It nurtures it like fireflies in a jar, glowing with the warmth of shared moments. And your name, yes, your name, still glows there. They carry it in their spirit. They whisper it in their prayers. Even now, they are standing at the edge of the celestial river, looking through the veil that separates the seen from the unseen, the living from the departed, and they are calling your name not because you forgot them, but because you buried your heart too deep beneath survival. They know why. They saw it all. They felt the moment your spirit curled inward, when grief wrapped itself around your voice, when silence became your protection and pretending became your shield. They were there the night you cried quietly and said, "Why did you leave me?" They were beside you when your hands trembled at the smell of their clothes. They walked with you through every empty room that once echoed with their laughter. And not once, did they blame you for moving forward. Because they understood. They always did. They just never stopped loving you as you were walking on. Their love didn't stay frozen in the moment they left this world. It evolved with you. Grew with your tears. It waited. It still waits. You may think you're alone in your memories, but you're not. Every time you touched that photo, they felt it. Every time you looked at the sky and asked, "Can you see me?" They were already watching. Every time you played that song and closed your eyes just a little longer, they were humming along with you. Every gesture you made to remember them reached heaven. Archangel Michael saw it. He wrote it. He held it in his angelic scrolls. And now, he brings it back to you, not as judgment, but as confirmation. You were never speaking into the void. They heard you. They still do. They've watched how the world changed around you. They saw people walk away. They saw you become quieter, more selective with your heart. They noticed how laughter became more rare and how joy felt unfamiliar. But what amazed them most wasn't your sadness, it was your strength. You kept waking up. You kept loving others, even when your own heart was bruised. You kept standing, even when your knees trembled. And they were proud of you, not just for surviving, but for still keeping their love alive inside you, even when the world told you to forget. There's something sacred about being remembered in heaven. It means your soul left a mark on eternity. It means the love you gave was never wasted. They still carry your voice. They still revisit your smile. They still remember the way you held them, sometimes like glass, sometimes like fire, but always with a tenderness that the angels wrote songs about. You don't realize it, but your soul created echoes that heaven still listens to. And now, they ask, will you listen too? They are not far. Heaven is not beyond the stars, it's between the seconds when your breath softens and your heart begins to ache for something unexplainable. That ache? It's them. It's your spirit recognizing theirs. They are around you in forms you don't always see but often feel. The feather. The flicker. The breeze. The den scent. The time on the clock. The chill on your skin when the room is warm. It's not imagination. It's visitation.